Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So it's late winter, early spring, and I'm finding myself going back in the garage to do some cycling training because I've just had enough of being out in the cold and the wet, and if you're the same as me, you probably do the same. It's a great way to keep fit. But there is one problem with using the turbo a lot through the winter, is it can be too intensive. A lot of people, because you're only generally riding for an hour or two on the turbo, often people make it, an intensive ride. You're either doing intervals or racing, and although that's good and it can keep you fit, it can also get you into a bit of a hole and really take you to a point of where you're too tired really to gain anything from it. So today we're going to be looking at things you can do to make sure you don't fall into that trap and make the mistake of making turbo riding always intense. So the first thing you've got to do when you're on the turbo is make sure that you're not always working at or expecting your muscles to work at exactly the same intensity and cadence. If you are, whatever you're doing, even if it's a 3-minute interval, 5, 10, 20-minute interval, or you're climbing Alpe d'Huez, the last thing you want to do really is be expecting your muscles to just stay at one continuous power and continuous cadence, because they're going to find that really difficult. Out in the real world, we don't do that. Out in the real world, you probably vary your cadence, you probably get out of the saddle, you probably sometimes put in a bit more effort, and really that's what you should be trying to do on the turbo. You don't want to always be straining the muscles, like I said, so try to vary it, try to change the cadence, try to change your wattage. Even if you're working in the same zone, you can still vary your cadence up and down. You can maybe go a little bit above it, a little bit below it, and that's far more natural for your muscles, and they will thank you. And actually you'll probably find you're more productive like that, and you get more out of your training when you let your muscles act in a bit of a more normal way. Okay, so that's number one. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribing will really help the channel grow, and I've noticed in recent weeks that 70–80% of the people who watch the videos aren't subscribers. So if that's you, please, if you can, consider subscribing. That'll really help things out. Thanks. Another thing similar to that on the turbo is that we often leave erg mode on, so the power is controlled by the trainer. So as long as you're turning over the pedals, the trainer will make sure you're doing the right wattage. And again, that can be very hard if you're doing intervals and there's not that much movement or variation in power. You're asking your muscles to do a lot more than they normally would out on the road, and also you lose the ability to sort of control your own power, or to know what power you're doing. And it's a real skill to be able to ride zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, whatever, out on the road and keep it there, so you know you're doing a set effort. And if you're on erg mode all the time, you lose the ability in a way to do that. And I know I find it quite hard when you're going out on the road to try to keep to a set wattage, especially if you're doing a time trial or something like that. It's a really important skill to have. Or if you're climbing, you want to be able to make sure you're climbing at a sustainable power. So try to ride sometimes with the erg mode off and just practice holding whatever power you want, but holding it for 5–10 minutes. Even if it does do that fluctuation, which is making it a bit more manageable, see if you can stay in the zone. As long as you're in the zone, you're getting the same benefits. Another thing to do to make your riding inside more enjoyable is do some general social sort of riding or just fun riding. I like to ride on Rouvy and maybe go up some of the climbs I've done in the Alps before, or have a look at new places. But equally on Zwift, there's loads of social sort of rides you can do with big groups where, you know, there isn't any agenda. So it's all about just going out and enjoying riding, whether you're seeing a new place for the first time or chatting with people online. It's a great way to make sure your indoor riding experience doesn't become too onerous and you'll find yourself fatiguing very quickly or overdoing it very quickly. Another good thing to do on the turbo is following a plan or setting goals for you to aim at, because it's very easy to jump on something like Zwift and just do races all the time, or just, you know, riding around a virtual world with no sort of aim, which is okay if you're enjoying that. But if you want to build your fitness, and modern turbo training is all about that really, and experiencing, as I said, with other platforms, different places or places you're never likely to go to. It's nice to see those. Doing a plan, following a plan, is a really good way to make sure you're keeping it sustainable. And if you want your fitness to grow, the one thing you need to do is be sustainable and make sure you can keep it up for weeks or months if necessary. And lastly, you want to make sure you don't overdo it. If you're doing hard sessions or races, you really probably don't want to be doing them, certainly if you're getting older, more than a couple of times a week, with other riding in between to keep that endurance built up. So I hope you found these ideas or tips useful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you can. That'd really help the channel grow, and then you'll be sure to catch any more videos when they come out. Till next time, bye for now.